What up, y'all? It's the homie Dame, and I have a revelation for you today. Anime is not, in fact, a divine gift and revelation from the heavens that descends upon us every season to fill our days with joy, excitement, and directions. Yes, anime is actually created by people. Many people, in fact, have to put in a lot of effort to create the dog shit shonen that you love, or the horny slice of life anime that you jerk off to. And in order to facilitate the process of creating anime, there are these things called anime studios who produce anime through hiring writers, directors, contracting animators, and sometimes even having their full in-house animation teams. Yes, I know this may be news to you, but a lot of people put in a lot of work to bring you scenes like this. But hey y'all, not all studios are created equal. Just like we can arbitrarily rank our favorite animes, I today am going to rank some popular and not so popular anime studios in a tier list format. What is the criteria? I don't know. Y'all should know by now that every tier list I do is completely arbitrary because I'm a fucking fraud whose opinions are made up on the spot. Like and subscribe, by the way. Okay, so I have a bunch of random studios here. If I missed some or whatever, don't come at me. It's probably because I literally just forgot. But yeah, let's start with Toei Animation, which is obviously a subsidiary of, surprise, surprise, the Toei Company. Now, you may know Toei Animation for its most popular works, Sally the Witch, Marmalade Boy, and Transformers. The Headmasters, right? Those are all the popular Toei shows, right? There aren't any hugely popular genre-defining and pop culture-shaping shows I missed, right? I don't know, whatever. I'm sure if I mentioned them, I'd probably just get copyrighted anyway. Toei is like one of the premier anime studios, and for good reason, since they've created shows that basically transform the medium of anime. The studio has been like a cornerstone in Japanese animation since like the fucking 40s, I think. You can probably pull any random person off the street and they will probably at least be somewhat familiar with like Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball, even if they don't know what anime is, and they can't even find Japan on a map. So as far as quality of shows go, Toei is great, but as a business, they are, how can I put this nicely, backwards as fuck. At least when it comes to the internet, but hey, whatever will they do if someone plays more than 2 seconds of One Piece footage? The poor bastards will go bankrupt. I'd put Toei in A tier, and as for my favorite Toei show, probably the original Dragon Ball. Next, let's do JC Staff, which, fun fact, apparently the JC stands for Japan Creative. There you go. Maybe that little tidbit will come up in a trivia night at your local bar. JC Staff has a pretty respectable list of shows they've created, like Shokugeki, A Certain Magical Index, Toradora, and I forgot they made One Punch Man Season 2. Yikes. Yeah, JC Staff is a good example of a studio that when they're on, they're really on, and when they're off, Again, the thing with animation studios is a lot of them hire animators as contractors, right? So a project can sink or swim based on the staff and production crew that's around the project, right? That should be a no-brainer. I don't know, I really liked a lot of JC Staff's best work, but they're a little inconsistent, so I'm gonna say C tier. And my favorite show from them, probably Toradora, or they make Golden Time, right? I'll say that too. Okay, let's do Studio Bones. I have no idea why people don't talk about Bones these days like they do a lot of the hyped, currently active industry juggernauts like Mappa and whatever, because Bones puts out some good shit. I know people like to clown on My Hero Academia, but let's not act like it's not one of the biggest shows of the past decade. And hey man, they worked on Mob Psycho, which is one of my favorite animes of all time, so I'm definitely down to dick ride them a little bit. If you don't know, the studio actually lost one of its co-founders back sometime during the mid-2000s. I don't remember, but yeah, Bones has been one of those A-list studios since that, consistently puts out great, well-animated, and well-directed shows. If we are talking about pure 2D animation, I think you can say Bones is in that, upper echelon, and as far as shows go, they've made a lot that I personally like, so I'm gonna put them in A tier. As for my favorite Bones show, I already said Mob Psycho. Okay, next is Brains Base, which, listen, They've had a rough go of it in the past decade because if you don't know, a lot of the times anime studios don't get to choose the projects they work on, and if it's a smaller studio like Brainspace, you just gotta take what you can get, I guess. They've gotten shafted with working on a bunch of like weirdo IPs, but let me say now, they're kind of making a comeback with, they came out with To Your Eternity. That shit's getting a second season, and they never do second seasons. And I guess Inspector is getting a season 2, which someone out there is excited about that. And again, let's not act like they don't have some classics in their bag, like, Bakano, Spice and Wolf, Origairu. Even though I hate Origairu, you gotta give them credit, right? I'm gonna put Brainspace in C tier, and my favorite show from them, I guess Durarara, even though I actually only watched that show super recently. It was really fucking dope. Ooh, okay, we got a big dog now. Let's talk about ufotable, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Ufotable is often mistaken for having next level, transcendent, blow your balls off animation, when really they're all about digital effects and, creative uses of CGI and blending that with 2D, which is really what gives their shows that unique look. That being said, Ufotable still does traditional animation just as good, if not better, than a lot of the other studios out there. Now, Ufotable was known for a long time for doing a bunch of Nasuverse shows, like, Garden of Sinners, and the series I care the most about, which is the Fate series. And obviously, I think, and I'm sure most people agree that they did an incredible job bringing those series to life. But in recent years, they've taken on another new IP that they've been getting attention for. I mean, you may have heard of it. It's this small little show called Inosuke and Friends. Yeah, obviously Ufotable is a great studio that makes great shows, even if they don't exactly have a diverse filmography. And, there was that whole thing with their tax fraud scandal, but hey, at least they made this scene. I'm gonna put Ufotable in A tier, and as for my favorite Ufotable show, easily gotta be Fate Zero. Next we got A1 Pictures, which I think, and listen, don't quote me on this, don't quote me on anything I say actually. I think this is one of the largest animation studios out there. They're a subsidiary of Sony, which, yuck. And they're known for having a huge body of diverse work, including shows I hate like Sword Art, Fairy Tail, and Blue Exorcist, and shows that I like Your Lie in April, Kaguya-sama, and Space Brothers. A1 puts out a lot of shows that, can vary in quality, as you'd expect from having such a huge amount of content that you put out. You can usually expect there to be some big A1 show in your average anime seasonal lineup. I think A1 Pictures is very good. They can be a mixed bag at times, but I would never be upset if I saw my, favorite series was getting an A1 Pictures adaptation, so I'm gonna put them in B tier. As for my favorite A1 Pictures anime, I'd say it's Anohana, or Space Brothers, depending on what variety of tears I want to cry that day. Next we got, Studio Pierrot, which is another industry giant that is beloved and respected in the anime community, with many iconic titles to their name and many long decades of history, but they may be most known for their adaptation of Naruto, which is my least favorite anime of all time, so D tier. Next we got Doga Kobo, which is I guess a studio mainly known for adapting a lot of slice of life shows and like these rom-com type joints, but I don't know, they've never really had that iconic title that stood out to me, even though I've liked a lot of recent work they've done. They did My Senpai is Annoying this year, they had that Dumbbell show, and hey, apparently they're going to be adapting Shikamori. Shikamori is Not Just a Cutie, which, hey, all you pink hair waifu lovers, get ready to meet your new goddess. I'm gonna put Doga Kobo in C tier, and I'd say my favorite show from them is, I don't know, Nozaki-kun, I guess. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about Studio Ghibli. Actually, what is there really to say? It's fucking Studio Ghibli, like a fucking juggernaut of animation. Miyazaki is basically a household name at this point, and I'm sure you can ask most random people to at least recognize some shit like Totoro, and Spirited Away is often considered to be like the GOAT anime movie of all time, even by Western audiences. It's like asking someone what their favorite Disney or Pixar movie is. Most fans of anime, Japanese, Western, or otherwise, otherwise, have a favorite Ghibli movie that gives them that sweet dose of nostalgia. And even today, Miyazaki is still doing his thing with How Do You Live being announced for release soon. Listen, you don't need me to tell you how dope Ghibli is. I guess the cool thing nowadays is to say shit like, oh, Ghibli movies are overrated. You know, Miyazaki's an asshole in real life, blah, blah, blah. Listen, they made Ponyo. Studio Ghibli is obviously S tier. I don't think that's controversial. As for my favorite Ghibli movie, gotta be Howl's Moving Castle, man. That soundtrack is a little too clean. Ooh, Madhouse. Okay, yeah, Madhouse back in the day was what Mappa is currently, as in they were like the big dog of the industry, producing a shit ton of popular and acclaimed titles. I'm sure you know a lot of their filmography, No Game No Life, Death Note, Hunter x Hunter, One Punch Man. They got some real bangers in the archives, and listen, they're still a top tier superstar status studio today. Recently they've worked on, Toktopi Destiny, which was, they made Sunny Boy, which was alright. And hey, they're working on some upcoming new bangers like Police in a Pod. Listen, Madhouse was dope back in the day, trust me. I really like Madhouse's animation style. I mean, if you've seen One Punch Man, you know that they know what the fuck they're doing. I'm gonna put Madhouse in A tier. As for my favorite Madhouse show, I'd probably say like Monster, or maybe Tatami Galaxy. Next we got Production IG, another massive company with an equally massive backlog. Who knew making a lot of anime could be incredibly profitable, am I right? I guess if I had to say, they're known for doing a bunch of sports shows, I guess. They obviously did Haikyuu, Kuroko no Basket, and they've also done shows I really like Psycho-Pass and Attack on Titan Junior High. Did anyone watch that? I think their biggest sin is contributing to those god-awful Fooly Cooly sequels. Jesus Christ. Just for that, y'all are getting dropped into F tier, honestly. F for Fooly Cooly. What the fuck is even my favorite Production IG show? Oh shit, they worked with Gainax for End of Evangelion, right? Alright, I'll say that is my favorite Production IG anime. End of Evangelion. Alright, let's rapid fire some studios. Studio Sunrise, huge iconic studio. Shout out to Love Live. I'm gonna say they're A tier. My favorite show from them is probably Cowboy Bebop. I know, basic. Science Saru, they made Ping Pong the animation, so that puts them in like B tier minimum. Next, let's talk about, oh boy, Cloverworks. Listen, Cloverworks is another studio where a lot of their misses in terms of shows can be explained by just, a bunch of unlucky circumstances. They often get hit by bad production schedules, director and writer conflicts, and weird shit like that results in abominations like The Promised Neverland Season 2. And hey man, they also worked on Fairy Tail, so that should tell you everything you need to know. They've also taken L's on their anime originals. We all know how Wonder Egg Priority turned out. It's just really unfortunate, bro. Like, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes in anime studios. We don't really know why they make the decisions that they do. Who knows if it's just like a dumb writing decision, a production decision, directorial, who the fuck knows? The thing is, they've worked on great shows in the past. I mean, they literally made Bunny Girl Senpai, which is a show I've beat off to multiple times. That it's a show I'm a big fan of. Listen, when Cloverworks is on, they're on. So I'm gonna say C tier, and obviously my favorite show from them is Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Okay, I guess next we can do White Fox, which is another super well-respected studio that is in the upper echelons in terms of, they barely ever miss with a show. Like, what do they got? They got Katana Gatari, fucking Steins Gate, and ReZero. Like, bro, they made Girls Last Tour, and hey, man, Goblin Slayer wasn't bad either. White Fox is literally like the quiet, straight-A student in the back of the classroom because they always bring out banger shows. White Fox is actually probably S tier for me, since I always love how they go the extra mile to do a good adaptation, and they do those little details in like directing and production that make their show so special. So yeah, my favorite show from them, easily ReZero. Okay, next we got Kyoto Animation, which is another studio that needs no introduction. Every fan of anime knows what the fuck Kyoto Animation is. It's like asking an NBA fan if they know who LeBron James is, or asking if JoJo fans know where Italy is. The answer is, of course. I mean, I could talk all day about how iconic KyoAni's style of, fluid animation is, and how many classic shows they've made, from fucking Haruhi to Violet Evergarden to K-On, Clannad, blah blah blah. You all know this. For me, I think a really inspiring thing, all jokes aside, is how they fucking bounced back from the, horrible, tragic fire that happened in 2019 to making, fucking Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S, which is an incredible project, unironically one of the best shows of 2021, and a show that's, it's so easy to see that it's filled with love, care, passion for the craft, and animation that can outshine any other studio. It really is incredible to see, and I'm excited to see what projects they come out with next, because to me, they're the goats of the industry right now, so obviously I'm dropping them in S tier. As for my favorite KyoAni show, up until recently, it would have been K-On, no question, but hey, Miss Kobayashi is up there now, and I guess Haruhi is a contender too. Fuck, man. They got so many bangers, I don't know. Next, let's talk about Mappa, which is currently somehow both the anime community's darling and its public enemy number one. These days, Mappa is known for taking on AAA list, big budget, shonen titles, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, all that shit. And of course, they're doing the final season of Attack on Titan, which, that's kind of a popular show, so good for them. I'm kind of mixed on them because I think a lot of their shows can look beautiful, but also sometimes their CGI can be a bit awkward and, hey, to be honest, ugly. I like some of their titles like Dorohedoro, Hajime no Ippo, Zombieland Saga, but at the same time, they've adapted titles that I'm not too interested in, like Kakegurui, Jujutsu Kaisen, and that new Itaden Deities whatever show. Now, as always, it's not always completely the studio's fault for me not liking certain shows. A lot of it is writing and whatever, but Mappa is still in charge of the direction and feel of the show, which sometimes for me can be a miss. And of course, the big fucking CGI elephant in the room is how questionably they treat their employees, which, to be fair, I suspect a lot of animation studios do. Mappa is just one of the biggest names. They overwork their staff. It's as simple as that. They've taken on a fucking wild amount of projects in such a short amount of time just, to grow as big as they have, as fast as possible, and it's clear that the members of the studio are feeling the effects of this. I'm sure y'all have heard the recent shit about the Attack on Titan director who was overworked to the point where he hadn't been home in 3 days. I mean, again, this is probably something that happens in many anime studios to varying extents, but I don't know, it really rubs me the wrong way with Mappa for whatever reason. I don't know. That being said, they've created some incredible shows, and I guess for the sake of appreciating the art that they put out, I can kind of separate the things and look at their work as just a studio, and I'd put them at B tier. As for my favorite Mappa show, definitely Zombieland Saga. You guys hear me talk about that show like it's my fucking newborn child, and I like Dororo too, so that too, I guess. Let's see, what else have I not done? Studio Dean, another industry giant that's hit or miss. They fucked up some good ass titles too, but they did make Ranma and Konosuba, so C tier. Oh, okay, Wit Studio. Okay, I should have done this one before Mappa, because y'all know what show they're known for. The Rolling Girls. They made fucking Attack on Titan, okay? Y'all knew this, and they did an incredible job making it. You don't need me to tell you that Wit Studios' work on the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan is what made it arguably the defining anime of the 2010s. People forget, man, that Wit is a pretty young studio, but they still have a respectable-ass body of work. Vinland Saga, Great Pretender, Vivi, Ranking of Kings, dope-ass, fire-ass, stellar-ass shows. I mean, now that they're kind of in their, post-Attack on Titan era, I'm excited as fuck to see what other projects they hop on, and I hope to see some, original titles from them too. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, they're young and don't have the biggest filmography, but I'm throwing them in A tier. And my favorite Wit show is, surprise, surprise, well, it'll probably be Spy Family once it comes out, but it's Attack on Titan, let's be real here. It definitely ain't Seraph of the End. Oh, and of course, how did I forget one of my favorite studios? I actually didn't forget, I just wanted to save it towards the end. It's Studio Shaft. I personally think that Shaft is the best studio on this list from both an animation and directorial point of view, because, I don't know, I just personally like their style. I really value when people make full use of the medium of animation to do wild and creative things, and Shaft does that in like every show they make. And they've made some iconic shows. Nisekoi, one of the best adaptations of a horror manga. Madoka Magica, which many people consider to be one of the best animes ever made. And of course, the Monogatari series, which many people consider to be one of the best family animes ever made.
兄ちゃん、その歯ブラシを私の尻に突き立てるつもりか?
I love Studio Shaft. I love their body of work. I love their style. I love their aesthetic. They need to come back with fucking Monogatari off season sometime. I don't know. They're great. S tier. My favorite show from them, y'all already know, it's the Monogatari series. And of course, I have to talk about my personal #1 favorite anime studio of all time in all of history. Fuck everyone else. It's Studio Trigger. Listen, say what you want. Oh, they make the same show over and over. Oh, it's always some shit with aliens. It's always some shit with mechs. Oh, their animation style is too jarring. Everything is too exaggerated and over the top. Man, fuck you. Honestly, fuck you. I love Trigger. I've seen every single thing Trigger has put out, except for that Ninja Slayer net animation thing, but Trigger is goated for me. Similar to Shaft, Trigger really embraces the medium of animation to create things that truly could not be done in any other format. You know, you cannot make Kill la Kill as a live action. It has to be as an anime. And hey, you know what? I'm gonna be extra biased and unfair, and I'm gonna throw in Gainax here too, because obviously Trigger is an offshoot of Gainax, and they both have very similar styles. If I'm being objective here, Gainax has the better body of work. I mean, they made fucking Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. You can't compete with that, but Trigger is my favorite because they made Kill la Kill, which if you watch this channel, you know is my favorite anime of all time. Therefore, Trigger and Gainax, goated. Let's see. Oh shit, I forgot. Last but not least is David Productions. They made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I fucking despise JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So F tier.